total confusion. And that is the reason why I've put together this course, The Hidden Science of Black Holistic Health, a 5-week course, so you can understand yourself from a scientific perspective and from a black perspective. In other words, so you can learn about biology from a black perspective. So you can learn about chemistry from a black perspective. Speak to any scientist, they'll tell you that chemistry is like the master science. In other words, there's no other science without chemistry. And that's interesting because what is chemistry? Well, let's break that word down. Well, we now know that chem means black. They just changed the K to a C. So chem, in chemistry, that means black. Every scientist will tell you this. Chem means black. And what about mystery then? So chem, that comes from ancient Kemet. And then mystery, that's Old English. That means hidden, unsolved, secret, or magic. So if chem means black and mystery means magic, therefore, chemistry is black magic. Chemistry means black magic. And again, you listen to the scientists and they'll tell you that chemistry is the master science. In other words, nothing happens without chemistry. Because in order for physics to happen, things have to come together. That's chemistry. In order for biology to happen, things have to come together. That's chemistry. Now, if that's the case, then you could argue that love is chemistry. Things coming together. So the chemistry of love. This is science. Black magic, yeah, chemistry. So we could actually break down love down to a chemistry, down to a science. And anything with regards to chemistry, what you need to understand is chemistry can't happen. Things can't come together. Molecules, atoms, compounds, they can't come together unless they come together in a fluid or a solution or water. Yeah? So when you're adding one chemical to another, the chemical reaction happens in a fluid or water. That makes water the most important thing in chemistry. According to who? Leo Marshall? No, according to nearly every scientist that's out there. Look at this. This is from phys.org. It says, scientists glimpse why life can't happen without water. They go on to say, scientists are getting closer to directly observing how and why water is essential to life. So water and life, they're synonymous with each other. Water equals life, because there's no life without water. A study in this week's proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences provides strongest evidence yet that proteins, those things that we're made up of, proteins, the large and complex molecules that fold into particular shapes to enable biological reactions, can't fold themselves. Rather, the work of folding is done by much smaller water molecules. So it's the water that creates us. It's the water that informs us. Formation. It's the water that does that with the proteins. The proteins are what we are made up of. Muscles, our enzymes, all of that is protein. So let's go back to my analogy. If you have a fish in a fishbowl and the fish is sick, what should you do? Should you treat the fish or change the water? We all said change the water. Logic would tell you change the water. Well, the human body is over 70% water. So you can look at the fish as like your human cells. Your human cells are only going to be as healthy as the water it's swimming in. Yeah? So what sort of water do we need as human beings? Ooh, close. Structured water. Now this is where you might have to, make your phone smart, because I can't go into too much detail. But structured water, like the name suggests, is water that has structure to it. It has shape to it. It has form to it. Structured water. If you were to look under a microscope, it's structured. It has like a hexagonal shape. Yeah? Unstructured water is unorganized. So you could say structured water is organized water. In other words, clarity. Unstructured water is confusion. You've got pollutants in there, fluorine, chlorine, fluoride, all of that sort of stuff. So how do we get structured water? Well, we were taught at school that there were 3 states of matter: solid, liquid, and gas. There's actually 4 states: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. And plasma is the structured water. Some people will say it's just electrified water. Yeah? Plasma, electrified water. Now, the person who done most of the science behind this, his name is Dr. Gerald Pollack. So for those who are interested in finding out more about structured water, go and research this guy, Dr. Gerald Pollack. And he done most of the water, most of the science behind water. And he says, even in his book, he's got a book called The Fourth Phase of Water. He says there's various ways to structure water, but the most powerful way is sunlight. Sunlight structures water. In other words, sunlight electrifies water, energizes water. And what type of sunlight? It has to be infrared sunlight. Yeah? And are we getting it over here? Probably not. So we need to make sure we're out in the sun getting electrified or sunlight so it can electrify our internal waters. And why is that so important for our health? Well, it's structured water that gets into the cells and hydrates us. If it's unstructured, it doesn't penetrate the cells. Yeah? Now, I don't know if you found this, if you've drank a lot of water before bed and it messes up your sleep because you're always getting up all types of hours in the night. Yeah, that's because the water's not going into your cells. So when you're drinking all of that water thinking, yeah, I'm hydrated, I've drank 2 liters of water, it's literally going straight through you. It's not going into the cells because it's not structured. Yeah? And again, anything that is outside of your awareness is outside of your control. When I found this out and I started to drink structured water, which you can get from green vegetable juices, by the way, when I started to drink structured water, I could drink loads of water before bed and sleep all the way through. Yeah? Because it's going into my cells. So, what is it? It's electrified water. It literally, this is what sunlight can do to water. It separates the negative charges in the water from the positive charges. So you're getting electrical energy from light and water. So if you separate the negative charges from the positive charges, you're literally creating a battery. So it's like a liquid battery that light does to water. Because that's all a battery is. It's the negative charge separated by the positive charge. That's what creates a battery. When they're mixed up, the battery doesn't work. When they're separated, that's when the battery works. Now, why is this important for us as black people? Well, a wise man once said, the body is electric. Who's this? Dr. Sebi. Yeah? Arguably one of the greatest when it comes on to this black science or black holistic health or whatever you want to call it with regards to us and knowing ourselves from a scientific perspective. He said the body is electric. If that's the case, now you know how that electricity flows. It flows through structured water. And if you look at this, this is the sunlight spectrum. This is all the light that we're getting from the sun. You see there's UVB and UVA. UV stands for ultraviolet. Then you've got high energy visible light. Then you've got visible light. That's the colors that we see, like in the rainbow and that sort of stuff. And then you've got infrared. Infrared light. Look how deep infrared light penetrates the skin compared to all the other types of sunlight. Infrared light penetrates the skin the deepest. Now, were we aware of this? You know what's interesting? Because I do teach at quite a few universities. When I talk about infrared light at any other university in front of an audience that is not black, people will be like, yeah, infrared light, yeah, my mum's doing infrared therapy for cancer. Or they'll say things like, yeah, I've got an infrared sauna at home. In other words, everyone knows this stuff but us. Everyone knows about infrared light, but I talk about infrared light to us, the people who really need it, never heard of it. Never heard of how powerful infrared light is at structuring our water. Now, there's been studies to suggest that it's not just light that structures water. There was a Japanese scientist, and he found out that music can structure water.
In 1995, Dr. was the first one to record musical impressions on water. In Dr. Emoto Masaru's laboratory, they allowed water to listen to music, after which they flash froze the water, and then, under the microscope, they could clearly see the crystals that the water had formed. Here is what the music of Bach looks like. Mozart, Beethoven, heavy rock.
Musical frequencies structure water. 528 hertz. Again, this is where you make your phone smart. 528 hertz. Yeah? There's been studies to suggest that this musical frequency, they call it the love frequency. Why? Because it resonates with your heart. It opens up your heart to love. Yeah? So when we're talking about love, we need to be talking about our heart, obviously. It's this frequency that opens up our heart chakra. For those who are into chakras, it's the 528 hertz that opens up our heart chakra. Yeah? Very powerful information. So the 528 hertz is a frequency that is central to the musical mathematical matrix of creation. They call this the love frequency. 528 is known as the miracle tone, which brings remarkable and extraordinary changes. And check this out, they call it the me tone. That's what the 528 frequency is. It's called the me tone. So the me tone is characterized as an extraordinary occurrence that surpasses all known human powers or natural forces and is ascribed to a divine or supernatural cause. Every day, more and more people tune themselves to the harmonic vibrations of 528 hertz music. In addition, 528 hertz tone alone is scientifically associated with DNA repair. You see how powerful this stuff is? And sometimes when I teach science, some people say it's like I knew this stuff already. Yeah? That's why I say science is simple, because sometimes you could argue you know this stuff already. Like you and you know this stuff. Because if I was to point to you and you was like, who? Me? Where would you point to? Your heart. Don't you find that interesting? This is the me tone that opens up your heart. And if I was to say to you, yeah, refer to yourself, point to yourself. Who? Me? You could have pointed to anywhere on your body. Isn't your shoulder you as well? Why not point to your shoulder? Or why not point to your mouth? That's where the noise is coming from. That's where the sound is coming from. Who? Me? No, we point to our heart. Why not point to your brain? That's where the thought is coming from. Who? Me? No, we point to our heart, the me tone. Yeah? So music can structure water. Well, music is just words on a rhythm. So here's a question. Can words structure water? That same scientist showed that words can structure water. Words can structure and unstructure water. So he's found that love in words, love and appreciation, structured the water. These are the effects of you make me sick, I will kill you. Unstructured. Yeah? Very powerful. He done an experiment and he used rice and water. Check this out.
Dr. Emoto has conducted another interesting experiment. He placed rice into 3 glass beakers and covered it with water. And then every day for a month, he said, "Thank you" to one beaker, "You're an idiot" to the second, and the third one he completely ignored. After 1 month, the rice that had been thanked began to ferment, giving off a strong, pleasant aroma. The rice in the second beaker turned black, and the rice that was ignored began to rot. Dr. Emoto thinks that this experiment provides an important lesson.
What is that lesson? What do you reckon? Words. These words are affecting our water. Remember, the human body is over 70% water. Yeah? So look at the rice. That could be your cells, your human cells, and the certain words that are structuring and unstructuring our water. I found this fascinating. So what sort of words structure and unstructure water? Well, when I started to do my research, I found out it wasn't really the words that were doing it. It was more the tone. The tone, yeah? And again, I found this very interesting because when you look at history, or even just look at what's happening today, what's the most powerful mantra around the world? So it's not so so much the words that structure water. It's more the tones, the tone of the word. Now, the most prevalent tone in the word is the M sound. The M sound. Now, what is it about the M sound that makes it so powerful? But I've found that the M, which they tell us is the 13th letter in the alphabet, and remember they tell us number 13 is an unlucky number, but I've found that for people of an African descent, the M is extremely powerful to us. That's why it starts mother, it starts matter, it starts master, it starts maths, it starts ma'at. The M is very powerful in our culture. Yeah? And the reason why the M is so powerful in our culture is because it resonates with our heart, with our mito, with our heart chakra. So the M in African languages is associated with structuring water. Now I heard a smirk there. Like the M is associated with water in African languages. I can't just say that now, can I? Because that wouldn't be scientific. Because my definition of science is simple. Science is logic backed up by evidence. So in order to prove it, I need to show you some. Alright, so I can't just say that in African languages, the M is associated with water. I have to prove it. So I'm about to prove it. Actually, I'm not even going to prove it. No, I'm not even going to prove it. Nah. I'm not even going to prove it. You are. Room full of Africans, you know, some of us must speak some African languages. Anyone speak Yoruba in there? Yoruba? Yoruba? Okay. Sis at the back. What is the word for water in Yoruba? Omi. Omi. Room full of Africans, so someone must speak Swahili. Anyone speak Swahili? Sis, one of you, or both of you, or all of you, what is the name for water in Swahili? Maji. Maji. Igbo. Igbo. What? Lily. Lily. Oh, anyone else? African language, yes, sis. What was that? Say it louder. Milik. Milik. See? What language was that, sis? Majako. West Africa. Okay. Ugandan? Yes. Madi. Look at that. Yes, sis at the back. What country? Zimbabwe. Look at that. The M is associated with water in African languages. Yes, sis?
Eritrean, and it's Mai.
Mai. Look at that.
Which language?
Eritrean.
Eritrean. Look at that. And when people say they're woke and all that sort of stuff, people always say to me, you know we're the original Hebrew Israelites. You know that, right? You know Hebrew is the original language. Well, if Hebrew is the original language, what is water in Hebrew? Anyone know? Main. Now, why is this the case with us, with Africans? What is it about the M that's associated with water and associated with love in our culture? Not anyone else's, our culture. What is it about that M? Well, in order to understand that, we have to go back to our roots. We have to go back, all the way back, to Kemet. Now, I got this information from Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. This is a book by Anthony T. Broder. Very powerful book on Kemet, so if you're interested in Kemet, I suggest you get that book. Now, in one of the pages, he breaks down the evolution of the alphabet. Yeah? So obviously this is what we're using right now, the Roman alphabet. So you've got A, B, C, D, all the way up. So A, if we go back, so this is very powerful because it shows how the alphabet was formed, but it was formed from the glyphs on the walls. So if we go all the way back to Kemet, the A was represented as an ox head. Then it started to change, and then the Phoenicians changed it a little bit, the Greeks changed it, and then we're left with the A in Rome. Yeah? Let's go to the D. The D in ancient Kemet was represented as a glyph, representing a door. Yeah? So, what are we talking about today? M. Let's go down to the M. The M in ancient Kemet was represented by water. All the way back to ancient Kemet. We've kept this M as water, representing water. And I love, this is why I think science is so simple, because if I was to ask children in here, there's some children in here, if I was to ask them to draw water, what would they do? Just a squiggly line. Or just, you know, a bunch of M's. Isn't that what water is? Just a bunch of M's going up and down? Isn't that interesting? And again, this is just associated with us and our culture. Going all the way back to Kemet. It's associated, the M is associated with water, and it's associated with life, because water equals life. And it's associated with love, because you can't have love without life. Water, love, life. That tone structures our water. But don't we know this? Sometimes when I teach science, people will be like, yeah, it's like I know this stuff. That sound is associated with love. Like, think about it. Even today, like, if someone said something today and it resonated with your heart, it resonated with your soul, what sounds you making? Yeah. I heard it today on some of the breaks when you guys were eating the food and you were loving the food. What sounds were you making? When you're making love, what sounds are you making? Well, if you're doing it properly, that is. I know, we've got children in here, I know. But they have to know how they got here. Yeah, is the reason why you're here. And have your children asking you mad questions on the way home, like, Mum, you see when Leon said that, is the reason why I'm here. What did he mean? Go ask your dad. But we know this. We know this intrinsically. But people study this. This is science. People study this. They study us. And if you don't believe me, look at this.
Things that make you go, All right.
Introducing McDonald's ever-changing new taste menu.
It's full of things that make you go,
Come on. Give it to me. Come on.
McDonald's permanent new taste menu.
It's here to stay.
What'll you choose today?
Things that make you go,
You don't think they're studying you? You don't think they're studying your science? This is an old McDonald's advert. But what is their jingle today? I'm loving it. Because the M is associated with water, and the water is associated with love. They understand that the M is associated with love. So that's why, I don't know if you know, but they used to advertise themselves as McDonald's. You'd see the whole word. Yeah? But then they started to do their research and started to realize how powerful the M was. Let's just run with the M. So now, McDonald's don't even have to say the whole thing. Just show them the M. And they're going to want to come in and eat. Yeah? And again, this goes back to ancient Kemet. Because if you go back to ancient Kemet and you look at the hieroglyphs, the word for love was more. M-R. Now, back in ancient languages, they didn't have any vowels. So it was just M-R. So you could pronounce it as more or ma or whatever you put in between as a vowel. O-A-R-I. So more. More was the word for love back in ancient Kemet. More actually meant pyramid as well. That's the glyph. More meant pyramid, more meant water, more meant love. More. Now think about this. Even this has come all the way up to present time. Anyone French? Any French-speaking people in here? Sis, how do you say love in French? Amour. Amour. Now, for me to prove that this is just with us, this is not with everyone, this is just with black African people. Look at this. The word for water in various European languages. So I'm just going to do a close-up of this. Yeah? Now just look around. You, agua, wasa, woda, moda, water, obviously. European languages, they don't have the M. As soon as you hit Africa, ma, me, ma. Yeah? The M comes in there. And you see ma a lot as well. So M-A. Yeah? Because remember, more means love, M-R, but they didn't have vowels back then, so you have to put a vowel in between there. So put an A, and you get ma, or ma, if you just leave it with M-A. Ma, ma. Where have I heard that before? Why is that so powerful? Ma. Ma.
Yes, Mama. Yes, Mama.
So we know this stuff intrinsically. I'm just showing you the science behind it now. It's like we knew this stuff. This sound is associated with love and structuring our water and making us feel good. And the M-A, very, very powerful. It's usually what the baby says first. Ma. The M-A, because the M-A is associated with water and love. That sound resonates with their heart. Ma. Very, very powerful. That sound resonates with their heart. And I don't know if you've noticed that.
I like to observe stuff, but a lot of our black history heroes,
A lot of our black history soldiers,
a lot of our black history warriors, if you check it, they have the Ma in their name. You know, like
Malcolm. Malcolm was a warrior. He fought for his people. Why? Because of the love he had for his people. The love. Ma. Yeah? Who else? Marcus. Marcus was a warrior. He fought for his people. Why? Because of the love he had for his people. Who else? Martin. Martin, his voice probably structured water.
that's why people just followed him, because of his voice. The tone of his voice was structuring our water. We didn't even realize it. Martin, another soldier, another warrior for his community. Why? Because of the love of his people, the M-A, the Ma. Who else? What about Marley? Marley, another warrior in our community, loved his people, and I wouldn't be surprised if his music was at 528 hertz, resonating with our heart, structuring our water. He was a revolutionary, he was a warrior, and he was doing it through music. Marley, powerful. Who else? Marshall. My name is Leo Marshall, and that concludes the end of my presentation.
And permanently discredited and